It's the Security Weekly News. It is episode 480. Yeah. Now, we've now been on the air longer than the original Star Trek series, so, con! But welcome to the week of 25 May 2025. We've got AP Tests, Hyper-V, Notepad, Google, Nova Scotia, NHI, Bond, Josh Marpet, and more on the Security Weekly News.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
It's the show that keeps you up to date on the latest security news twice a week. Your trusted source for accurate security information and expert analysis. It's time for the Security Weekly News. Imagine a world where every threat, ransomware, supply chain attacks, zero-day exploits, is stopped before it can even begin. ThreatLocker makes that world a reality with a zero-trust approach to cybersecurity. By giving you granular control on every executable that can happen in your environment, ThreatLocker protects your business around the clock. No more guessing, no more gaps, just rock-solid protection that keeps your operations running smoothly and your data secure. Discover how ThreatLocker's least privilege approach can safeguard your organization against known and unknown threats. Take the first step toward total peace of mind. Visit securityweekly.com/ThreatLocker today. All right, it's the Security Weekly News. I'm Doug White. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button and leave a comment, or I won't have any friends. I mean, seriously, you're it, guys. Well, you and Clippy. Me and Clippy just sit around here drinking and talking about the good old days. Yeah, so I need you. I run a lot of virtualization hypervisors. I'm always entertained by them. I've really liked them ever since they first came out, ever since the first, iterations of like open sourced Linux hypervisors and things. But, I've never run Hyper-V. I don't know why. I mean, there was this one day we were like, we should run Hyper-V. And then it was like, or not. I mean, sorry, I don't have any opinion on it, to be honest. I don't think it's good, bad, or indifferent. I've just never even looked at it. But, I don't know. I was probably afraid I would get it all set up and then the company would tell me they'd installed an anthropomorphic paperclip on there that pops up every few minutes, like some kind of twisted rabbit Jiminy Cricket to remind me of my own mortality. And I would just end up leaning against a burned out server rack, smoking an unfiltered cigarette and saying things like, I've seen attack ships burning off the shoulder of Orion. But anyway, Microsoft has released an emergency update to address some issues that were causing Hyper-V virtual machines on Windows Server 2022 to freeze or restart unexpectedly. Now, my initial reaction was, now wait a minute, Windows workstations freezing? Like, okay, well, that's not really that new. Yeah. But it is better than it used to be. I mean, my Windows workstations don't seem to, blue screen of death and all these kind of things as often as they used to. And so that's a good thing. But the issue apparently mainly impacts Azure confidential VMs. So these are special purpose, I guess, cloud-based because they're on Azure, unless you're running Azure on-prem. And they're designed to protect data all the time, not just when it's being transmitted or stored, but even when it's being processed. So these are special VMs. So if you have Hyper-V and you're experiencing, I guess, lockups and freezing on your Windows workstations, they said you would need to manually install this MSU package from the Microsoft Update Catalog. So this is not part of I guess it's not yet part of a patch. So they recommended it if you haven't completely deployed the May 2025 Windows Security Update. So maybe there is a patch and you have Windows Server 2022 devices running Hyper-V. If you're not affected, well, then they said you don't need it. Yeah. So anyway, just thought I'd bring that up. Now, I do love it when marketing tells me something, like, we know the product is toxic and addictive, but that is really what our customers want, Doug. Well, Google AI mode and AI overviews now have ads. Now, I don't use Google search, but according to Google, these ads are helpful. So at a Google marketing event last week, they were talking about this, and Google, whose corporate motto was once "Don't be evil," before they changed it to like something, a rolling donut, something. Well, the ads, which appear above search results. So if you search for something, apparently these ads pop up. And I did try it a little bit in incognito mode, but they they were described by Google as, quote, a new way to find information on the web. So you're searching for something, you get an ad from someone who probably pays a lot for that ad to pop up, and that's where they're hoping you'll click, right? Uh-huh. I mean, I'm being very cynical here. It's kind of like a more healthful way to use opium. But according to their data, they say, all this being Google, their data, Google's data, Google says that people are finding the ads within the AI overviews helpful because they quickly connect them with relevant businesses, products, and services to take the next step at the exact moment they need them. Uh-huh. So don't do any research, or try to do research, but you're not going to do any because you're going to click the first thing that pops up. And maybe that's true anyway, right? So now instead of you doing research on what that would cost, you just click the first thing that pops up. So yeah, no way marketing wrote that whole document. So I tried searching for mariachi bands near me, and it just put up something called Places, which I'm not familiar with, but it did have some, like, I guess, mariachi bands you could hire in the state of Rhode Island. But I haven't used Google search engine in a long time, and this makes me less likely to use it even more. So the more you put AI and stuff, the more I don't want AI. I'm going to go back to using links and, like, what, Spider, was it the name of that search engine? Something like that. Yeah. Links. It's the only way to go. If you don't know what links is, yeah, well, you're probably, like, say, less than 50 years old. All right. Well, speaking of other things that really bug me, along with the AI infused ads, it's having AI infused everything. It's like when all those chefs got into these things called shishito peppers a few years ago, and suddenly, like, every dish had shishito peppers and pepper ice cream and pepper cocktails and pepper everywhere, and a side of shishito peppers on your table and pickled shishito peppers. Yeah, I was like, okay, I mean, I don't have a real problem with the shishito peppers except they have too many seeds in them, but maybe we could back off that a little bit, and it doesn't have to have, like, curls of shishito peppers on. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. But anyway, AI is kind of getting like that, right? You go for a colonoscopy, they got regular ones in this door and AI powered ones next door. And you're thinking, remember that scene in Wrath of Khan with that worm thing going in Chekhov's ear? Where he put those worms in their helmets, and Chekhov's is like, he put the insects in our bodies. Oh, yeah, kind of like that. But not everything needs to be AI enhanced, right? I mean, so Microsoft has always made one product that I could live with all the time. Notepad. It's the Vim of Windows systems, right? I mean, it's always been there. I mean, it was there in the beginning. I mean, and maybe Notepad's not for you or not for anyone except me, but I find it useful and comforting. I really do. I mean, like an old-time reporter with a fedora, a cigar, a hot client, and a hot 45 in my desk drawer right behind a bottle of Four Roses. Yeah, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah, sorry, I have these visions. Notepad. I mean, Notepad's like a 30 kilogram Underwood manual typewriter. I have one. And, Notepad gets the job done. I mean, it's like using Vim on a warm summer night in a fluorescent lit server room that smells like ozone and despair. Ah, Notepad. Well, Microsoft has now announced that they are adding a Copilot feature to Notepad. So now to use good old Notepad, you'll have to sign into your Microsoft account, choose Write from the Copilot menu, and then the AI can generate Notepad text for you. Why? I just honestly don't know. I mean, do we really need an AI embedded into Notepad? What's next? AI-enabled Vim? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Notepad's been around since the beginning. 3,000 years ago, Gandalf. I was there. I saw it. I was there when Windows 1 first came over from the East. I mean, so come on, guys, leave Notepad alone for those of us who prefer our editors like we like our partners. Cold, distant, and easy to manipulate with a keyboard. Vim. I'm going to get Vim for Windows. I think there is a Vim for Windows, but I can actually run it in the Windows Linux subsystem, and I can run Vim there. Yeah, so I get my Vim fix. All right, Nova Scotia Power, and I presume in Nova Scotia, Nova Scotia Power announced about 1 month after the incident that they had been targeted in a cyber attack. And on Friday, they've released a whole bunch of things about this, but on Friday, they said it was a ransomware attack. Now, the breach was originally disclosed by Emera, which is the parent company of Nova Scotia Power, and that was at the end of April. And then on the 1st of May, they announced that hackers had stolen some customer data. On the 14th of May, they informed customers that information like name, date of birth, phone numbers, email addresses, mailing and service locations, power consumption, service requests, and payment billing and credit history had pretty much been lost. So I would say that's just about everything other than your favorite fish and hat size. But oh no. Then they went on. They said also your social insurance numbers, which is an important number in Canada, your bank account information, which is an important number everywhere, and maybe your mother's maiden name, and I don't know where your children are currently located, that kind of thing. But in their latest update, they said it was a sophisticated ransomware attack. They never say it's a simple ransomware attack. It has to be sophisticated. And they went on to say that, quote, no payment has been made to the threat actor. Good for them. I mean, we say that all the time. The more you pay these clowns, the more they're going to do this. But they did note, and probably because they didn't pay, the attacker has published stolen data from their systems. Now, the strange thing about this one is no one's taken credit for the attack. It is an infrastructure group, and there's a lot of warnings about nation states targeting infrastructure, not to mention 12-year-old kids from Prospect Heights with nothing better to do. So I don't know. Interesting. I always wonder about all these sites that are selling all sorts of things. Like when you search for something, I was searching for these LED bulbs earlier today because I have this like on my workbench for my computer workbench. I have like a light above the workbench, and it has an LED bulb, and the bulb went out. And you immediately get all these like links to these really cheap sites, and I always just wonder how bad some of these things are, or how possibly dangerous they are. Oh, you're looking for a 22-inch LED T5 bulb. Try the Shin Cyclocon brand from Temu. Only 7 cents for 40 of them. Now, granted, I have bought things on Temple Street in Hong Kong. I've ordered crazy electronics for Lou from like weird foreign sites, and we got a bunch of weird foreign, junk capacitors. But I did know what I was getting into when I bought those bets by Dr. Dra for 5 Deutschmarks on Temple Street. I mean, so this European Commission has now warned Chinese e-tailer Shine, I guess is how, or is it Shein? I'm not sure that it's spelled Shein, but it's Chinese, so maybe it's Shein. But I mean, I've heard people say Shine. I heard Josh just say Shine, but they warned Shine to clean up their act after these notable breaches of local law, all of which you would also encounter on Temple Street in Hong Kong. Fake discounts, pressure selling, misleading information, deceptive product labels, false sustainability claims, and hidden contact details. So, it's like that booth you walk up to, and when you go back later to go, hey, this stuff broke, and of course they're gone. Right. I didn't know how they were doing pressure selling on a website, but then I went and looked at this site and some others. And of course, they put up only 3 left. Buy now, 2 left. Oh my God, 1 left. And, and it's like click, click, click. But anyway, I did find a portable stainless steel tongue scraper on sale today only for only 20 cents, but they only had 3 of them left. So if you want a stainless steel tongue scraper for 20 cents, you better get it quick. But they also had a smartwatch that looks a lot like an Apple Watch, but it was only $8. So I was wondering, like, when you get it, is it like actually not do anything? It's just like a little, it's just like painted on or something like that. Like the Rolex with the R falls off of, and it's an Olex. And they go, no, it was always an Olex. I don't know what you're talking about. But I mean, sleazy discounters have been around since the days of Crazy Eddie and probably since the days of the Sumerian Empire. But, and all these tactics are used all the time in all different, venues. So, but here's why I brought this up. If they're this sleazy, I wonder what else they're lying about. How many things did you have to click saying, no, don't collect my data. No, you don't need, my browser information. And, you're just clicking it. It's like, okay, yeah, we'll just go ahead and do that. Because what are they going to do? Call our non-existent contact information? I was looking on there. There's no way to contact them. It's like, click here for support. I'm like, okay, it's another one of those, right? You can only email some unknown address. So I did go there in a VM in incognito mode via Tor, just in case you're wondering. But you might want to remind your people that, as they go to these sites, that they might want to be careful no matter how cheap it is. Wait, is that a 34-inch curved monitor for $30? Really? I mean, if I ordered 3 of those 34-inch curved monitors for $90, would maybe one of them work? Yeah, good luck getting a refund from that. But hey, it's a Gotholk model. You can count on Gotholk. But there were reviews for this monitor like, I received a monitor arm, but no monitor. And definitely not what is in the photo. Very disappointing. And it's not clear if it's a monitor or a monitor mounting arm. They have pictures of both, and the monitor arm mounting arm doesn't have the monitor on it, and the monitor doesn't have the mounting arm on it. So I'm not sure what you get for 30. I was tempted for $30 just to see what shows up, but it says ultra large curved gaming monitor, 4K HD picture quality. I still think I'll pass. That's probably the name of the brand or something. Like, remember when people were naming their products like fat free bologna? And you're like, this has tons of fat in it. And they're like, oh yeah, that's just the name of the product, fat free bologna. It's, Mr. Fat and Mr. Free got together and started making, chopped meat logs. I mean, I could sell old cigar boxes, right? And I could just name them 4K HD quality TV and then sell you an empty cigar box. Fat free and healthy. Speaking of cheap junk you buy on Temple Street, the rise of James Bond-esque spy camera has really taken off. We've reported on several stories recently where people put these in offices and were collecting, all kinds of canoodling and hijinks. But this story was just about how cheap these things are and how dangerous they can be. They were talking to people in the UK, I think, who had been, like basically videoed with these cameras. I mean, you can buy a pinhole camera now for almost nothing. I mean, something so small that you could take like a 3/4 inch drill bit and just zip a little quick hole in the wall and stick it in there, and nobody's probably going to even notice it, right? And these have Wi-Fi and they're really cheap. And I looked on the Spy Store, which is a site that they have a smoke detector that looks like, I don't know if it's got a real smoke detector in it or not, but it's got the red light on it, like a smoke detector. You're in your hotel room and you look up and you see it at night, or sometimes a green light. And it's got Wi-Fi. It was $199, which sounded a little high to me, but the camera is in that little red light on the smoke detector or the green light on the smoke detector. And yeah, who's going to notice that, right? So the story, of course, was about this woman who moved into a rental unit with her half sister's uncle, whatever that is, as a renter. And of course, he was filming her for years, apparently, through what she called a sensor on the bathroom wall that he told her was a sensor. So, and look, voyeurs and voyeur sites are a thing. They've always been a thing, and peepers and all this kind of stuff has always been a thing. That doesn't make it okay, right? And maybe you don't think it's important, but when this happens at your place of work and somebody's doing this, you don't know what you may end up and how liable your organization may be. They had an air freshener plug-in. They have, all kinds of little tiny cameras. Airbnbs, many cases where people saw both either the owner had put up a camera to see if the people were smoking, trashing the place, or a previous guest had just put up a camera. I heard somebody talk about that in a ski condo once. They said the previous, or at least that's what the owner said. We don't know where that came from. And maybe the person was just local and they come out there and collect their information every day. But, hotel rooms, I mean, sticking a Wi-Fi camera into a tiny hole in the ceiling is a pretty easy thing to do. And they make them that look like the hinges on bathroom doors. They make them that look like shower heads, all kinds of crazy stuff. So in light of the recent U.S. revenge porn laws, you may have some chance of getting this stuff taken down. But in my opinion, once it's out there, it's out there. So you might want to use a bug detector. You might want to put some policy in place at your enterprise about not doing this and making this a fireable offense. And you may even want to scan the local area for Wi-Fi signals when you're in a strange place or even in a familiar place. I mean, all these people in the story were with people they knew. They weren't, just like, oh yeah, I was staying in this hostel in, Czech Republic. And it was like, oh no, it was my uncle's cousin's brother. So is that ladybug watching me up there? Yeah, it did move. Okay. Well, this story was about how AI is really driving a massive shift in enterprise productivity. And I had not thought about this at all until just recently. Whether it's doing code completions on GitHub or chatbots that are constantly digging through all the troves of internal data we manage or something else, each time a new bot is created, it's using resources, right? And I don't mean just HVAC and electricity. It has to authenticate. It may need to communicate with other offsite things, third-party things. Who knows what all it's doing in services that it's connected to. So, for instance, I've been building this IDS playground for my class, and I, of course, like many things, get carried away with it. And it's not on the scale of a large operation, but it sure did make me think about this from a different perspective. Now, in the old days, I used to build IDS playgrounds and pen testing playgrounds and things, and it was like one server and me running scripts with the F keys in the background. Like, oh, I'm going to run F8 now and see what they, and hopefully that triggered a bunch of snort rules. Now, in this new one, it's all virtualized. I have 14 servers already that I've built, all of which create swarms of bots, Dockers. They get email, they do all kinds of things, and there's all sorts of scripts, and they pop up. So they're ephemeral, because I like it like that, because it looks like real attacks, right? These just ephemeral things pop into being and then they go away. But every time they pop up, they request resources. So I had a script the other day that was going to pop up like 100 bots, and 2 other scripts all ran at the same time. And it was like, I ran out of IP addresses. The THCP, it was kind of like it was crashing. I was getting error messages. I was like, they couldn't get IPs. And I'm like, why are they not getting IPs? Did that other server go down? And then I went and looked, and I'm like, oh, yeah, because there's just not that many DHCP addresses. And so, suddenly you've got unbelievable numbers of things going on with these NHIs. So when I ran out of IPs, it wasn't that big of a deal. But when you run out of network bandwidth because you have a million chat bots running all at once, cool, but also not cool. And credentials, how are your bots springing forth from the forehead of Athena kind of thing, and authenticating? I often name bot servers things like Athena, but actually I think I was using weird German stuff now. But are your bots using one hard-coded credential or a token, and they all have the same token, and every time they're created, they have the same token, and you never rotate those tokens, and now somebody gets hold of your bots because they sniffed them off the network, and all of a sudden they've got your tokens, and uh-oh. So I don't know. So this article really made me think about this a lot. I mean, it was hard enough auditing a company's identity management when they had 35,000 employees. Imagine when you've got potentially millions of bots swarming like, gnats in a swamp. I mean, if you thought identity management was hard before with just people, imagine it with thousands of bots, ephemerals, all this stuff every day. I think it's going to make for some very interesting compliance times in the near future. Like, actually, probably like now, not even in the future, just like right now. We've already collapsed the waveform and affected the equation. Yeah. Well, today, just to talk about all these fun things, we have someone who we haven't had in a little while, and one of my favorite friends is Josh Marpet. Hi, Josh.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
So I picked a great story because it fits right in with all of your stuff that you're talking about. I'm really happy about that.
Well, that's always good.
The story is actually about AI
Imagine that.
in schools.
Oh,
and
imagine that.
Real crapshoot that is.
Uh-huh.
A matter of fact, part of the story shows that ChatGPT use graphs drop in the summertime, in the school summer. So when school is out of season, usage of ChatGPT for the last 2 years has dropped drastically.
Makes sense.
Which shows that some of the populations using ChatGPT, they may be students. Just saying, it's possible. Maybe they're using it on school things. I don't know. It's a thought. So how are schools responding to this? And that's the fascinating part. Because you see, schools have to have some way of checking to see whether the students have learned the stuff they've been paying all these thousands and thousands of dollars for in the courses. And if all you do is take an online test using ChatGPT to get your answers, have you actually learned it? The answer to me, honestly, and I may be old-fashioned this way, but the answer to me is, oh, hell no. Okay? Look, I'm going to back up a step. Usage of an AI is valuable. Knowing how to use an AI is valuable. Hell, we called it Google foo for the longest time, right? Do you know how to use Google properly? Because that would mean that you were able to access information correctly. We had sacred acolytes of the information age called librarians. And you would walk into the library and they would tell you, you need to go over here for this reference note. Oh, that's in that collection. Go to that building or that room. Go through the card catalog. You remember card catalogs? And find the Dewey Decimal Number, the organizational system, to find that book, to find that thing. And you had to learn how to find information. Now we've literally taken that out of the equation with ChatGPT and its ilk. So, what are professors doing to make sure that their students are actually working and learning the information, the knowledge, the wisdom that they're supposed to be learning? They're making them write it down. Blue books are back. And if you've never heard of a blue book, well, you're young. Blue books were my bane, my nemesis in college, because my handwriting is so damn bad. There's a reason I'm a geek and I type everything. But the simple fact is that if you want to make sure that somebody's not using a computerized form of information retrieval in order to beat your question, take the computer away. Give them a blue book, which is a small pad of paper bound up in a blue cover with a place for your name, your teacher, your class, your grade, whatever, and write your exam out longhand by hand. Have a nice day. Thank you for playing. Goodbye. And if you don't know it, you don't know it. And I don't care who you are. If you're wearing meta glasses and you have a good proctor, they'll know. And if you're wearing an earpiece and you have a good proctor, they'll know. Now, as long as teachers have had exams, students have tried to cheat. The professors have gotten pretty used to most of the ways you can cheat these days. And as old as they may be, I mean, look at Doug and my white hair. We still know what technology is, and we still know how it works. So you're not going to be able to, on the most part. And so you're going to have to write out longhand. So if students persist in using ChatGPT, and I've seen stories, by the way, not in this one, but I've seen stories where they say, my kid came home from school and put every question into ChatGPT, not even just copied it right out of the Blackboard assignment on the screen, dropped it into ChatGPT, copied the answer, dropped it into Blackboard or into whatever homework program you have. You know, that's not even trying. That's not even attempting to learn. That's just, I want to get my check mark. It feels like compliance versus security. I want to get my check mark, get my C, and move on. And that's terrifyingly bad. So, in the scheme of things, and I realize I'm expanding this a little philosophically, so forgive me if you don't like this idea. In the scheme of things, we have to have ways to make sure that students, coworkers, researchers, scientists are doing these tasks and techniques properly, defined properly. Well, in science, you have this thing called the scientific method. You have hypotheses, including null hypotheses. You test the hypotheses. You come up with answers, and if you test the answers properly, you can tell if they're due to chance. You can tell if they're due to actual variables in your scientific experiment. You can have control groups and multiple variables and all kinds of ways to do these things. When it comes to teaching and learning, Doug teaches every day, for God's sakes. That's why he's called Dr. Doug. And he teaches information and data to his students and asks them to synthesize that into knowledge and wisdom. And they're supposed to be able to do that in the papers that they write, the projects that they do, and the systems and answers that the answers they come up with for the questions that he asks, whether in writing, on screen, or in person. Now, I know that Doug isn't mean enough to use the Socratic method every day, but I'm sure that occasionally he does. And if you as a student can't come up with an answer, you're not listening, you're not studying, you're not doing the right thing the right way. And if we continue to do this, the blue books will be there every day. And soon we'll have classrooms with jammers. We'll have classrooms with no technology allowed. And technology detectors will become a part, not of a metal detector, just simply of a technology detector. Will be at the door of every school and every classroom to make sure that you are actually using the gray matter between your ears instead of the Medif glasses perched on your ear frames. And frankly, I'm okay with that, because if we don't keep working and learning, we will be left behind. Just my thoughts.
Thank you, Josh. I'm 100% with you. I'm actually debating this fall going back to using scantrons and handwritten tests, because basically we don't have any mechanism to keep people, if they're taking tests, and even in class on their laptops, they can just flip between tabs and they're literally just copying the test questions and paste them into ChatGPT. It's pasting, like you said, paste the answers back. And then you can tell.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can tell when a student who, you look at their homework or the coding they do and it's terrible. Although now when I look at their coding, it's like, wow, you're an amazing programmer. and I know where the code came from because I know what ChatGPT's code looks like. And but yeah, pretty much every question that can be asked, you're going to get answered. Every now and then you're probably going to get a hallucinated answer. And I mean, I think if you were only to test people, you'd have to come up with a new method. But honestly, I don't know how to prevent that short of just literally switching back to paper tests. I mean, that's it's a thing, and it's I don't know what to do about it, and it's very complex, and I don't know how people that are teaching classes where you have to write papers and things are dealing with it, because basically, people just go in there and say, I need a 7-page essay about the William Tell overture, double spaced, written in APA format. Please give me that with at least 12 citations. And that's going to come spit out of there in about 3 seconds. And it's probably going to be better than what they would have written anyway. And I mean, I don't teach those kind of classes, but I know if you're teaching computer science classes and you're teaching coding, you can now give the most elaborate, complex homework assignments you've ever seen. And it's almost like inverse grading. The people that get perfect scores on it, you're going, yeah, they cheated. And the ones that get not so great scores, you're going, oh, these are the better students who actually tried to write this themselves, because this was a, like multiple recursive process. And um, I haven't done this, but I was very tempted in one of my classes to ask them to write the Towers of Hanoi recursively and I mean, because that's a classic computer science 2 problem. And, the people that don't know how to do recursions end up writing thousands of lines of code, and the people that do end up with 3 lines of code in C. And, watching all these people with this very elaborate, heavily documented code coming in. But I don't know. It's very complicated and disturbing. So good luck out there. Speaking of all that, now, you remember those AP exams and such in high school that we were just talking about, the blue books and all that stuff? Maybe you didn't do any of that. I mean, I don't know how we manage this process now, if exams are supposed to be sacrosanct, because every exam you give is going to be up on some brain dump site within 5 minutes. It's going to be coming out of ChatGPT. The students are dumping the exams into the AI. The AI is probably sharing them with everybody and anybody. Well, the College Board, which is a nonprofit company, they give the SAT and the AP test, so the advanced placement test. They switched away from the number 2 pencils and the Scantron booklets that they used to use, and the little blue essay books that Josh was talking about, and switched to a digital only format. They did this like 2 years ago, I think. And now I haven't taken any of these modern exams, so I don't know exactly how they work. Like when you're taking the SAT, can you open another window? Probably not. I've seen tools that prevent you from doing that. So they freeze your screen. I mean, there's probably a way around it, but they freeze your screen, although you do have a phone maybe in your hand. Now, when you take Cisco exams, they make you go in a sweaty room with some slack-jawed worker watching you on a camera, and you have to put your phone in a locker, although they didn't strip search me. I'm guessing they'll eventually get to where you have to, like Josh said, it's going to be hard to take. You're going to have to do a strip search and take the test naked or something like that, which that's rather appealing to me. But, you know, I don't know what this does right now, but it must be doing something. So I hope that they have a locked frame and they're not letting students sit there with their phone on their lap so that they're doing that. Or do they have a locked frame that's now AI enabled with Copilot? So it's popping up in your answer. You might want to consider using the Pythagorean theorem. I mean, I don't know, but apparently their AP Psych exam was disrupted nationally because the testing app couldn't be accessed. They said it was just because so many people were taking it at the same time. And I'm like, wait, you scheduled it? Like, that's how it works. They're like, on this Saturday in March, the AP English exam will be given. You did the scheduling. I mean, I had to take the GMAT or the GRE or one of those things in a very hot room where they were using jackhammers outside so they couldn't open the windows. But at least my test booklet could be opened with the tip of a sharpened number 2 pencil when they said begin. I mean, you'd think that maybe College Board would know to expect heavy server demand on the day of the nationwide exam. But hey, what do I know? I mean, I do know that having a giant disaster before any test that you have to take, like you ate too many burritos before you went to take your driver's test, and, you plotzed all over the car while the guy was making notes, like my friend did. Yeah. Or a jackhammer in 40-degree heat in the classroom. That probably doesn't improve your test scores. But you'd like to think that a nonprofit organization like College Board, where their CEO makes almost $3 million a year, would be able to afford to scale their server space to manage their tests. But the move to all digital testing has been fraught with peril. Parents may be shelling out thousands of dollars for, testing classes, AP tests, SAT exams, and all this stuff. So maybe get your digital game up to par, folks, and earn that $3 million. Come on. Anyway, that's the news, blue books and all. Thanks to Josh, and I hope we see you next time on the Security Weekly News.